G'day everyone, it's Justin and
Scott.
Two dads again from Broome, Australia. And we're coming to you today with a 2022 Hyundai Kona N SUV. Okay mate, recently we drove the I30N hatchback, and one of the best family friendly cars we've had the pleasure of driving.
It's a car we both rate very highly.
Yeah. But SUVs are probably the most popular type of vehicle around these days, aren't they?
Just dominate the sales numbers. Yep.
Yeah. So what if you wanted the fun and family friendly car, but the other half, or the Ministry of Finance says no, we got to get an SUV.
Yep.
What things are on the market that might be, combining those two together? And I thought about it, and I thought, why don't we have a look at this Hyundai Kona N? It's sort of got the running gear and everything of an I30N hatchback.
Yes.
In a little SUV body.
Yeah, it's like it's a little bit taller, isn't it? Like it stands a lot taller.
Yeah.
It's definitely got some different styling cues.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a few things different about this than the I30N. Yeah.
So you've driven this car the last couple of days.
Yep, absolutely. Right? Yep. Stuff around the city, picking up kids, doing all the sort of a lot of family sort of home duties. Yep.
Give us your driving impressions. What do you think?
I suppose some expectations when I got in this, being an SUV. I thought it might be a little bit more practical, even because we've looked at the I30N and been really impressed by the fact that it's a fast, fun car to drive around. It's spirited, but it also has a lot of practicality. Mm-hmm. I thought this might even be a step up on that practicality. Okay. But I was a little bit disappointed in the fact that boot space is smaller. I wasn't able to fit some of the things. I did the grocery shopping, I did the school pickup, and I was flat out fitting both of those things in the back. So it was just a little bit, it wasn't as practical as I was expecting.
In terms of the practicality aspect you were talking about, right? I mean, it isn't an SUV, but it is a small SUV. So I guess that, if you're looking at a car that's going to be good for the family, you probably want to have a good think about this size car compared to other ones, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think what I would say is, you get some higher sort of roof line, I think, in this car, the I30N. That's good. So if you've got maybe older kids, that's something to consider. But again, if you've got lots of kids and the bags are going in the back, you should really just check out to make sure that's going to work for you. So they are different cars in terms of the body shape and everything. Mm-hmm. So maybe one family it might fit better than another. So I think you probably should have to look at both and just think of your the things you do, go shopping, what you throw in the back of the car, what the size of the kids are in the back, and those sorts of things. Yeah, so your requirements, I'd look at those very carefully, because I think in most cases I30N does a bit better job, but there might be a use case for when this does a better job, the Kona.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
But in terms of performance, handling, ride, how does it compare to the I30N hatchback?
So that's that other half, isn't it? So yeah, so the practicality is one half, and then there's the how dynamic and spirited driving this is. I mean, the I30N sets a high benchmark, right? That's why we love it so much. Yeah. I felt this one just wasn't as dynamic. It's softer, so for some people maybe the I30N is going to be suspension wise and all the good old Sydney potholes and probably Australia wide, all those potholes. This might be a more compliant, nicer car to drive day to day, but it didn't feel quite as tight and performant as the I30N.
Now, in terms of value for money, mate, looking at the equipment this car has, the safety, the pricing sort of thing, what are your thoughts on that?
Again, I think we've been pretty impressed by all the safety features in these cars. You'll hear it today when we're driving around. It's quite talkative and chatty. Like I was just coming around that corner back there when you asked me the question, and the lane assist really kicked in. Okay. Because it's quite a tight corner, and so it was definitely steering quite a bit for me. So there's a whole lot of safety stuff that I'm really impressed about. The reversing, cross traffic sort of stuff. All of it works really, really well.
I reckon the thing that I like is that, like if you're sitting in traffic and you're stopped, the car in front of you moves off. It gives you that alert to say, hey, wake up.
That's right. So if you've ever been guilty of maybe looking at your phone quickly at the traffic lights, or being distracted
don't do that.
But or distracted by the kids in the back and stuff, and you don't see the cars in front, pull away, then yeah, that was a good little feature. Just a nice little subtle couple of beeps and tell you that the cars in front are moving away. Yep.
Another little interesting feature this car has over the I30N, which I noticed, is that track maps feature. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's very good. Yes, absolutely. So it had listed a whole lot of Australian racetracks.
Yep.
And yeah, from what I could see, we haven't been on the track, but would be great to take this on the track and try it out. But yeah, it looks like it's got you can just record your track lap after lap after lap because it knows where you are on that track. Sorry. Yeah.
Just on that, the track map feature, I suppose, that like if we go back to what we were talking about, the dynamics of the car, it is an SUV. It does sit a bit taller than other cars. Not too tall. They have sort of you know, done the suspension to a sporty setting.
Yes.
But I don't know whether this thing would really be at home on a track compared to like the I30N hatchback. What are your thoughts?
I think I would say straight away, I'm guessing, haven't done it, but for sure I think the I30N sits lower. Definitely feels like its suspension is more racetrack tuned when it's in the full N mode. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I would favour the I30N on the track.
Yeah, I think you mentioned to me before about the steering on the car. You said that it feels a bit softer in this car. I mean, like the feedback.
Yeah,
isn't
one of the things I liked about the I30N, even really under hard load at the track, it didn't really feel like a front wheel drive car. You know, like I didn't think about it. Like, you know, I mean, obviously you know, and you can probably feel it occasionally, but it wasn't something that came front of mind. Driving this for a few days, I certainly knew I was driving a front wheel drive car. So it just feels a little bit lighter. So maybe it is that it's a bit higher suspension, and you know, you've got a reasonable amount of power in this car, which is great. As you take off, and if you've got any steering lock on, all of a sudden it feels quite light in the front. You lose a little bit of that feedback or steering direction. Now,
in terms of pricing, this car here that we're in today is the sort of entry-level Kona N, which is equivalent to like a what would you call it? An entry-level premium. Sorry, an entry-level DCT I30N.
Yep.
Or a premium manual I30N. What do you think about that? I mean, you can go up a bit higher to a premium version of one of these, which is 50,500, which is cheaper again than a top of the range premium I30N
by about $1,500 or something.
Something like that. But you don't get the whiz bang nice seats that you like.
That I really liked the I30N.
But you know, you do get a few other different features and things like that, like the dash. You get the track stuff and all that.
Yeah, so it's really interesting between the manual I30N, the DCT I30N, and now the Kona N, that there is quite a few subtle differences, isn't there? And the dash you just mentioned is one we should talk about because that's a significant difference to the other two.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. We agree on that one, that's for sure. Because so full digital dash, changes based on if you just did normal mode to the N mode. All of a sudden a little ball of fire comes out and it turns into it gives you a whole lot of different readings like oil temperature, engine temperature, what the turbo is doing, the torque settings at any time, shows you all your dynamic engine, steering, suspension settings. So it's fantastic, right? Like, so that's a massive tick for this car.
All right, mate. Give us some of the positives and negatives that you've felt about this car in the last couple of days driving. What do you think?
So I think if we're doing a direct comparison between the I30N and this car, then there is a few of those differences that are worth taking in. It's a taller car, it sits higher, so if you like that higher driving stance, and maybe you have older kids that are a bit taller and you want a bit more height in the back, this car fits well with that. We talked about having the digital dash and stuff. It's a great feeling driving this car with all that information there. That's terrific. It's got the engine and the performance and stuff of the other one, but it does definitely use it differently. So it's probably one of those ones you'd say to people, like, go in there and test drive both and work out which one you like, right? Do you like vanilla or do you like chocolate? Because they just do a few things differently.
Okay, all right. Any negatives?
I don't feel it's as such a racetrack tuned car as the I30N. So this one just feels a bit softer. That might be a positive for some people. May not be. Maybe not everyone's taking it to the track, right? They're just trying to drive around Sydney roads and have some fun. What else? I think the styling for me, I love the I30N. I thought that they really give it a sort of good racetrack feel, but not too crazy and over the top. Felt this one edged a little bit crazy. That big diffuser at the back's really large. I think you liked it, but I wasn't such a fan. A lot of little bits and pieces. It's quite busy, the design of this car. But again, that styling, that's up to unique for everyone. I'll look at it differently.
Okay, mate. So we've had a couple of days with the Kona N.
We have.
Okay. X factor question. Is this the kind of car that, when you park it, you're going to look back at it, you're going to check your reflection out when you're driving past?
Oh goodness, the X factor question. So I think for a lot of people they will look back.
Yeah.
I think we've been spoilt by having, obviously the manual I30N and the DCT I30N just in the last few days. I'm a big fan of the I30N in that beautiful blue.
You keep mentioning I30N here. This is about a Kona.
Right. Yes, I know. Very good point. I probably not so much for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
just because it's the SUV sort of more look, I think, than the hot hatch.
SUVs are the popular vehicle these days and everything.
Yes.
I mean, look, to Hyundai's credit too, look, it is a funky looking SUV as far as SUVs go.
Oh, absolutely. And we're massive fans of the N brand, right? Like, we think it's just terrific that Hyundai are doing this.
I mean, they've got, 3 different cars now in the N brand, isn't it? You've got a hatch, you've got this, an SUV, and you've got a sedan.
That's right.
As well.
Yep. And across 3 models,
well, no,
right?
4 actually. You got the I20 as well,
I30 and Kona.
So I mean, credit to Hyundai for catering to enthusiasts. Great. A lot of other manufacturers aren't doing that, so good on you, Hyundai. Thank you. But okay, it is an SUV. You mentioned before, practicality-wise, you thought it might have been a little bit compromised because of the size, I suppose,
I think the SUV only gives you sort of increased height inside and maybe a bit more headroom.
Yeah.
But those expecting any more sort of luggage room and boot space, that's not the case.
No.
So the I30N, slightly bigger boot, and I think even a little bit more usable boot.
In terms of the
space.
packaging?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And in terms of this car itself, it's got a few different features that are really nice than the I30N, right? So we talked a bit about the dash in the review. It's got a better stereo.
Yeah, the Harman Kardon 8-speaker.
And it's noticeably better. It's got some other features like the track mapping and all those sorts of things. So, so each one of them is a little bit different, right? They're not packaging the exact same thing, just in different body shapes. There are different features that people should look out for.
I'm going to throw it at you. Okay. Your money, what are you going to buy? You're going to buy a hatch or an SUV. Essentially, they sort of are around about the same size and everything. Between the two, what do you suggest? What do you reckon?
For me, every day it's going to be the hatch, just because I felt it was a more dynamic experience, sharper, and just had that slight bit more practicality with the boot space that I need every day and use every day. So for me, that was definitely the hatch. Yep.
Okay, all right, okay, no worries. All right, just want to put a big thank you out to our friends at Hyundai Australia for the loan of the Kona N. And want to say thank you to everybody out there for watching us. We are back. Notice the views and things are going up again, which is great. So thank you very much. And we'll come back to you with some more reviews shortly. See you later.
Thanks, everyone.